So welcome everybody. Welcome to our wonderful panel of inspiring women in tourism, and welcome to everybody that is participating today. My name is Kayleen Allen and I am the Managing Director of BTL Gems. The whole purpose around the Advancing Women in Tourism podcast and webinar series was really to connect, engage and support women in tourism. Since I've been in tourism for 40 odd years, and I have seen a whole array of some dreadful things that have happened, either individually to countries, to communities where they've had disasters come through. There could be fires, there could be cyclones, and I've seen the resilience of all of those communities also lift back. But this one was, when it happens to everybody on a global stage, there were so many times that I had to just check in with myself from time to time to go, is this real? It just felt so surreal. And I just believe that, we're talking to each other, we can learn from each other to find out how we're coping, touch base, and we don't feel so alone. So before I introduce the panelists today, I'd like to introduce Bindi. So Bindi is very much my IT support from Ethical Change Agency. And if it wasn't for Bindi, I wouldn't be able to do this. So greatly appreciate Bindi being here today. Bindi is going to keep a time check on us just to make sure that we don't go for too long. Bindi is also going to have a look at or monitor the chat bar. So for anyone that is listening today, please introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from, because we just love to see what parts of Queensland or other states that are participating. That's fantastic. And also for anyone that is participating, if you've got a query or question for one of the panelists, please let us know. Also at the end, I'm going to just pass over to Bindi just to allow her to give us her thoughts and opinions as a wrap up on what people have said and the key takeouts from today's message. I was mentioning earlier through to Kath that I've been receiving a whole range of some really lovely feedback from a really broad range of women. And one only came through yesterday, and I'd love to read it. It came from Alexandra Rogers, and she said, "Hello, Kayleen. My name is Alexandria. I graduated from the University of Queensland with a degree in tourism at the end of last year, and have recently started watching your Advancing Women in Tourism webinar series. I am so happy to see these conversations happening, and I look forward to more." So ladies and panelists that are here, you're inspiring the next wave of our tourism operators. So we're teaching them resilience, we're teaching them how we're able to cope through such a traumatic time, or what has been traumatic, and now we're going through another phase. So I'd love for each of you to introduce yourself, introduce your product, introduce your destination, and then we'll have a chat about some of the different initiatives that you may have done, innovations that you have taken on board, or how you've had to change your product or your experience to suit this COVID environment. So Kath, would you like to start, please?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. So I'm on the Gold Coast, beautiful Gold Coast, and I'm part of Miami Marketta. So we are a street food night market that operates and open to the public on Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturday nights. We're also a music venue, so when bands tour around Australia, they come and play at our venue. And we also do business events. So we host a lot of off-site dinners for corporate events that are coming to the Gold Coast. So before COVID, we thought we were pretty covered, having all of those aspects of our business, but pretty much every single one of those does essentially require a mass gathering of people. So yeah, we've been pretty much shut down completely, and so now we are a drive-through business, which is fun, and we've also taken on some online orders and things like that as well. So we have pivoted, as they're all saying, is the key word. So we pivoted, and it's actually been quite fun, a little different. But it's good.
Excellent. I look forward to hearing more about how you've had to change and pivot. I mean, you had, as you said, you thought you were doing the right thing from a risk scenario point of view and not necessarily have all your eggs in one basket. You had different target markets. You had business, you had consumer, you had local residents, you had, intrastate and interstate. And it's still, sometimes we just can't plan for something like this.
That's
right. So it requires that flexibility. So I look forward to having a chat to you, or how you got your head around doing that. Thanks, Kath. Appreciate it. Taylor, Bundaberg. Now, Taylor, Bundaberg Rum is one of my clients. I'm very proud of them. They're national award winners for 2 years in a row. So Taylor and I have worked together for the last couple of years. It is a phenomenal organisation. So share with us a little bit about Bundaberg Rum and the visit experience, Taylor.
Yeah, so I'm the assistant brand manager for our Bundaberg Rum visitor experience in Bundy, obviously. So we have we call it our kind of visitor experience, but it makes up, we've got a retail store, and then we also have 3 tour offerings. So we have a museum tour, a distillery experience tour where the guests can go in and explore the distillery, the working distillery, and then we also have a blend your own rum, our premium experience as well. So much like I'm sure everyone else, our visitor centre has been closed for a number of months now. Towards the end of March we made the decision to close, so we haven't been able to have guests on tour for quite some time. We were fortunate though that we could keep our retail store open and operating. So we've managed to keep the shop open and run that as kind of like a bottle shop. So that which has been good, I think, for we've tried to communicate obviously the changes, but if people had called in anyway, or there was still staff there for them to go and talk to, and we still had our retail shop there to have some sales and revenue through that. So that's been good. We also have an e-commerce platform, so there's been a lot of energy put into that in the last few months. And yeah, at the moment we are just working through a reopen plan, so we haven't got a set date yet as to when we will reopen, but it's likely not going to be for another few weeks. So our guest safety has always been our number one priority, so there's just a few kind of work streams that we're going through at the moment to make sure we've got all the risk assessments in place and that we're adhering to all the restrictions. So that's kind of where our team energy is at the moment.
Wow, yes. And I'd love to come back to you, Taylor, and have a little chat to you about your marketing, because I know you're a bit of a marketing guru and have done some fantastic work in that social media space. So you might be able to share some of the tips and tricks on what you've done there. So Tanya, welcome. Love you to introduce your product. It's a little bit unique. Share with us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, hi. Carley, and hi everyone. Carley, thanks for having me on your show. So we've got Saltbush Retreat out in Longreach. So we're 1,200 k's from Brizzy. We took over 1st of May 2018, although we've been in Longreach in accommodation for the last 12 years. So we're a family business. So I'm one of the partners with my sister-in-law and her husband. So we've been here for 12 years. So Saltbush is an amazing property. Like, we've got 20 luxury accommodation. It's just beautiful. And then we've got our standard accommodation as well. We were completely, COVID was just, we were just gearing up for our season. We had hit the ground running. We had so many bookings, coach groups. It was just so busy. It was looking, Qantas Founders Museum this year was celebrating 100 years. So everything was happening. So this has happened. So, but it's, we stayed open during the whole time. We just for essential travellers, that's all we could take. So, occupancy was, very low, but, we're here for our clients. We did open up a couple of rooms for just office space during the day. So that worked. That we got a few, not many, but we got a few in like that. We're just trying to look for different ways to, just be there, I guess. And so, yeah, that's kind of our story. We've also got my husband and I just started Mitchell Grass Retreat this year as well. We're meant to be opening on the 1st of April for luxury glamping tents. That hasn't happened at all, but we were due to open in April, but now we look like we'll hopefully by 1st of July we'll have our first 10 up and going, and then the families. But looking, since the Premier made the announcement last Sunday, we've been inundated with calls from families wanting to come out. Most of them from the southeast corner. So we're really excited. We're just, it's really, really, the feedback we're getting, people wanting to come and support. So it's been really good. We've got a couple of our attractions don't open until the 1st of July. Well, the Qantas Founders Museum. So we've had a few people book, and then, you let them know so they're not travelling out just, and then we've had a few cancellations because of that. But other than that, it's real. We're feeling really positive. We're excited now, and let's get on with the year.
Excellent. That feeling of enthusiasm is so wonderful that we can start to do that way. Tanya, the people that are ringing you at the moment, are they repeat clients, or are they, how did they know about you?
I think there's just research on looking for places to go. A lot of first-time travellers to the Outback want to bring, a lot are just families just wanting to bring their kids to the Outback, do something different. We can't go interstate, so let's just bring them all, come out and have a look, go somewhere different. So, maybe one repeat client or something like that, but mainly just all new ones.
That is so wonderful to hear that people are ready to get up and get out and try new experiences. Thanks, Tanya. Carley, Ochre Restaurant, you are very well known in the Cairns area, and just so you know, I was a Cairns lady born and bred, so my heart is still there, my family is still there, and I know that you have been a wonderful supporter to and for the tourism industry, events, the whole range. So tell us a little bit about Ochre Restaurant and what's been happening during this particular time.
Well, this has been a disaster, to say the least.
My heart goes out to you.
So we've got a 180-seater restaurant right on the boardwalk in Cairns, and we were pretty quick to jump straight on to takeaways and deliveries. So we kept our business going. We didn't close it all. We did move into our sister company. We have a sister company called Tropic Spirit Catering. They cater for the reef boats every day. So obviously no reef boats are touring at the moment. So we moved in with them to keep our costs down, keep the deliveries going, and really work as a team. We branched out, started to do grocery deliveries as well, ready-made meal packs, just trying to think of anything to keep both businesses going. We moved back into our restaurant last week, which was so lovely to be back on the waterfront, where we got a new set of rules for opening the restaurant. So that happened on the Monday, and then the Thursday night we got a whole different set of rules. So 2 rules in 1 week is very hard to control. But again, like all the other ladies have said, the local support has been fantastic. Friday, Saturday, the restaurant was full again for lunch and for dinner. So that's been really, really good. But we've had another setback yesterday. The Cairns Convention Centre is not opening until March next year. So because we do offsite conference dinners as well. So we had 2 events, one for 1,000 and one for 600 booked in November. That's now been cancelled and going to find another destination. So it's sort of one thing after another for us. We're pretty quick to jump onto everything else, but I don't know how we're going to get through this now.
So you made comment that cost cutting was a really important component to keep things moving. So I suppose it just, when you get a shock announcement like that again, like you said, you've already been through 2, you're prepared for one stage, and then all of a sudden they changed the rules again and opened it up. And now another potential shining light has now been taken away from you. So how are you handling the roller coaster of all of these emotions?
I think the hardest thing is to be positive for the staff, to try and keep them motivated and to keep them going when you are very emotional about the whole thing. Because, for me and my boss, it's like a light at the end of the tunnel, and then that's taken away from you again. So I think now the struggle is that we need to make a plan to get through the wet season. As you know, the wet season in Cairns is very quiet. You know, the locals don't want to go out into the wet season either. So, you know, for November to have 2 large events, that was fantastic. But then now I don't see anything happening until April, May.
You were talking about that you are doing meal packs and you've done deliveries, etc. Is it a new clientele that's reaching out to you? Is it the same one? What's happening there?
Lots of local support. And, you know, we've seen that local trade come into the restaurant the last couple of days saying, oh, we had your deliveries. They were fantastic. And,
Nice.
you know, that constant support. But a lot of new customers as well that had never dined with at the restaurant, you know, lived, say, half an hour away where we're actually doing deliveries now. So doing a broader distance, we were doing it all ourselves to, you know, change up the roles. So for example, I've got waiters that are doing dish hand work just because we need to provide them with the hours throughout the JobKeeper, just to try and keep them all working. We had all of them doing deliveries. But now the restaurant's open again, they're all back on board. They're in the restaurant all the time, keeping it that JobKeeper level. So we have had to take on a third-party company to do the deliveries for us so we can continue that trade, because now it's of demand. So we want to be able to keep it going.
I mean, it must really start to do your head in when you have one particular business model, which I know for you guys was extremely strong for you. You had the restaurant and you also had major events and those sort of things, and you had a fantastic reputation of it. And as you said, you know, it's that swiveling, that swerving, whatever the key words are nowadays, but trying to get your head around it constantly changing.
Yeah.
Because you have to change your vision for the business, because it may never go back to what it was.
Exactly.
And yeah. So well done to you. And
we were lucky enough to have a few of our events. We had 9 back-to-back events, one which was a 1,200-seater 3-course sit-down meal, conference dinner coming to Cairns on the 1st of May. So we've had them rescheduled for next year.
excellent.
So a lot of the May events have scheduled for next year instead of just cancelling, which is something to look forward to.
Yeah. Hope, you know,
Yeah.
hope is that key thing. It's, you know, that dangling the carrot to go, if we just keep going a little bit longer, we will get there and things will start to settle down.
Definitely.
So, thanks, Carley. I'd love to have a chat to you about, from a marketing point of view, how you got out there, so the industry. So I'll come back to you again shortly. But I'd like to say hello to Lynn. How are you, Lynn, from Myella?
Yes, thank you for the invitation.
Pleasure. So tell us a little bit about Myella Farm Stay.
So Myella is my family cattle property, and I grew up here, and we accidentally started a farm stay after members of the family went travelling, and we started inviting the people we met home and wanted to share our lifestyle, and the rest is history.
Isn't that fantastic? We accidentally started a farm stay.
Yes, well, I guess we're not fond of crowds, and so, but it's nice when we invite people in, we invite them into our intimate world, and yeah, that's what we've been doing for many years. And we are in the Southern Great Barrier Reef region, and we're 2 hours from Gladstone, where they have the beaches and the turtles, and then Rockhampton, and we're an hour and a half from there, the Capricorn region, and we also fit into that Outback region as well. So we're kind of accessible Outback, and just like the lady that is also in the Outback, we're finding that the families are really resonating with what we have to offer. In the past, we've had the people coming from the Whitsundays, coming to stay at Myella Farm Stay with us and wanting to come and enjoy meals with us and activities with us, and they stay in our accommodation, and then they head up down to Fraser Island or vice versa. So yeah, we've got 18 ensuite rooms and some other rooms that we won't use now because they had shared facilities, and of course we can do camping, but we'll limit the sites for the numbers for the future, for while the COVID's happening. I guess with the COVID, we actually closed before it was forced upon us because we could feel it coming.
Wow.
And we have a responsibility for our community as well, because when you come from a small town and you've got the only international people coming to your door, and you're sitting at the table with somebody who you know knows someone in their country with the virus, and I'm looking at my 70-year-old mother and going, wow, where is our responsibility for a business? Where is the balance between business, family, and community? And so I guess we fly our own Myella farm stay flag, and we do things a little bit different and not standard to the industry of tourism, but we do a good job, and we offer horse riding tours and farm experiences. And then we have other people that just come and want to take it easy and sit by the pool. And the diversification, yep.
No. I take my hat off to you in regard to, looking into the future and understanding, how the community are going to feel about people traveling within their community and making that decision. So you are a working cattle station, aren't you? Yes. So, the tourism industry, when did you start to be in, by accident? How long ago did that happen? Oops, Lynn looks like she's just frozen on us for a few moments. We might just come back to, you there, Lynn? Yep. So how long have you been in the tourism industry?
Yes, you're just cutting in and out for me too.
Okay, all right, we'll come back to you in a second then. Thank you. So Kath, you've had to make lots of different changes, and you made reference to the fact that you're a drive-through. Can you explain how does that work?
Yeah, well, we were so fortunate that our venue is actually 2 warehouses with a driveway down the middle of it. So we were, pre-COVID set up, and we didn't even know it. But so basically people are literally driving in through our main entrance and driving out through at the back street. So it's been amazing. And our food stalls, we are a small family business as well, but within us are a whole lot of other small family businesses. So they all own the individual street food stalls. So it's kind of, it's obviously a flow-on effect for everybody. But some of those families have come back in and set up the stalls for the drive-through, so you can literally just, like McDonald's, just come in and order, wait in your car, and the order gets brought to your car, and then you drive out. So yeah, it was we were just so lucky that we had the structure and we could do it safely, and it gave us kind of a way to stay in touch with the customers, as well as provide a little bit more or some income for those families. Obviously we couldn't do it for everybody because the venue wasn't big enough to host all of the street food stalls back. It was kind of just a small number. But we also did something a little bit different on it, which is kind of Marketta style, is we have drag queen bingo every 2 weeks. So the drag queens came back and they hosted the drive-through, and then they played a little bit of bingo during the drive-through, so people could, win some free vouchers to come back next week, or, just something fun, just to keep it fun, because, yeah.
Boy, do we need some fun during this time. So anything we can do to put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you were really concentrating on just keeping in contact with your customers to let you know we're here. So does a lot of that contact come through social media? Is that where a lot of people work out how long you're open for and when, and your different activities?
Yeah, absolutely. We've always, Marketta's just been one of those really unique spots that it's been a very much a word of mouth kind of venue up until maybe a couple of years ago, when we started to work with Destination Gold Coast and started to do business events, and then we became more of a tourism focus. But before that, you really had to have like a friend that told you about it, because we didn't advertise, and our only connection was social media. So that, in a roundabout way, gave us an advantage during this time, because we already had a really strong connection with our customers through social media. So, and probably because we in that pocket that is music events and street food and art culture, that a lot of that connection happens already on social media. So we were already in a place where we could connect quite quickly to or the majority of our customers. And
it sounds like you had some great supporters out there from a range of different sectors, you know, from your arts community, from your fresh produce, from a whole array, including the drag queens, you know, entertainment. So how do you think opening up Queensland is going to change the way your product is at this moment?
We do have a lot of interstate customers as well. So it's pretty much, I mean, if you're just coming to street food, we're the place that if your cousin's visiting from Sydney, you bring them to Marketta if you live on the Gold Coast, kind of thing. But then our music industry is the one that's probably been the most affected, our business events as well, but the two of them have been hugely affected by border closures and international border closures, because we have international bands coming and playing. So the Violent Femmes, I don't know if anyone knows the Violent Femmes were due to play, of course, international acts, so they can't come in, and the 1,500 people who'd bought a ticket to go, you know, very gratefully holding on to their ticket because they are rescheduling. But again, we're at that stage where we're just waiting for government to kind of give the direction as to how you can gather on those large numbers again. I mean, you can see it in the news today that, you know, the football stadiums are all kind of facing it right now to kind of, how do we do it? How do we do it safely? You know, and I think on everybody's mind is that we know that we can't afford to bring such a huge number of people together, because that's the danger zone, because the huge number then, if an infection happens, transfers to the hospitals, and that's what we all don't want to do. So, you know, trying to navigate around that for the first time in history is, it's difficult.
It really is. It's frustrating, but it literally is a wait and see. And I think, you know, I was reading the paper today after the rallies that were in Brisbane and Townsville just recently, and all the experts don't have the answers, and they say that. They go, we can't crystal ball, we can't tell you what is going to happen, but a situation, a rally occurred, and in 2 or 3 weeks' time, we will have some answers that we never planned on being able to give people. We do not know the answer. So it is a bit of a, we currently have some rules and regulations, and we just have to deal with those. And we just go, it's week by week by week. So thanks, Kath, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Taylor, I know a lot of your business has been local, but obviously the Bundaberg rum brand is national, if not global. So what have you been doing to keep in contact with your clients from a marketing perspective? Have you been trying anything new?
Yeah, so we kind of made the decision once we knew that tours were going to be closed for quite some time. We did actually make the decision to stop a lot of our marketing comms to kind of cut back on costs, but also because we couldn't have them on site, so we didn't want to be marketing to them and then not really have a call to action. So what we kind of, instead of just not doing any marketing at all and not continuing to communicate, we did shift a lot of our focus to our e-commerce platform. So we know that once people have been on site and tasted our liquids, they all are more likely to kind of fall in love with the liquid and want to purchase that post their visit. So we tried to use social media and marketing to kind of make people aware that we have an e-commerce site and that we do sell our product through online channels, because I think a lot of people don't really realize that. They think of, you know, Dan's and all your big kind of alcohol retailers, and not a lot of people know that we have our own online platform. So it was trying to bring awareness to that, and also kind of shift the focus to that, which would also allow us to keep our staff and cross-train them into working in fulfillment and making sure we could fulfill all the orders. And I think it also made a lot of sense to do that at the time, because online shopping behaviours were on the increase because of particularly because of lockdown restrictions. People couldn't leave their house, so they were turning to online shopping. So for us, it was a bit of a natural fit that also then allowed us to kind of benefit from that as an additional revenue stream and keep our staff trained and in hours. So that's kind of been where we've focused the majority of our attention from a marketing point of view. Particularly over that time, there was a few key trading periods, particularly for e-commerce. So Easter was a big one, and Mother's Day fell in that time period as well. So we use those to kind of keep in communication with kind of Bundy Rum fans and people that know of the brand or had visited us or been on our website in the past. So we use targeting groups to help us with that.
I think you raised a really good point there, Taylor, is we can't forget about some of the basics in marketing, key events, the Easter, the Mother's Day, those sort of things. So even if some people can't physically do things now, it's still nice to be able to, get the vouchers or be able to present an opportunity to someone for, that dreaming and the pleasing, come and visit us when you can. So yeah, no, that's really important. So Tanya, it was great to hear that, as soon as the announcements of opening up, you've been getting some great inquiries through. Have you changed your packaging or your pricing any differently because of the reopening of the COVID?
We just kind of, and then like within 2 days, we just started filling up, and you're kind of thinking, well, we shouldn't really be discounting down now because, we were so excited in the first couple of days to finally get bookings, and have people excited about coming. And then we're just going, oh, well, actually, it looks like all our family rooms are going to sell out anyway. So we need to, look at this again and think, no, we need to be, we need to be on our prices. Come after school holidays, we won't have the families again. So we need to just keep our prices. We need to make money when we can for that. So yeah, a bit of a shock. It's just this whole. So just being so excited that the phone's ringing again and we're getting.
I just love the smile on your face. I can see the genuine enthusiasm. It's like we're starting to get through this. But as we all know, it's wonderful that school holidays are coming up. But then we've got that post school holidays before we get to the next lot in September and the changes that will happen there. So.
We've been like just different. We've kind of been marketing to a little bit when we could only travel just for our local areas. We picked up a few couples celebrating like 20th wedding anniversaries and stuff that actually live in town but just want to come somewhere nice for an evening. So we kind of did a little bit of social media with that. So, and that's been pretty good, and just making people aware, although they live in our town, they don't really know our amazing accommodation that we have to offer. So that's been, I'm getting great feedback from that. And another exciting thing is we've had so many travel agents now approach us to want to improve, packaging, and we've just never had this amount of just inquiries from travel agents all over Queensland and New South Wales, just wanting something different. Their clients normally either go overseas this time, and people are just going, we've got nothing for our clients now because it doesn't look like international travel's coming anytime in the future, in near future. So it's been really positive. We're really excited. So hopefully we haven't, got the bookings yet, but the amount of inquiries, and hoping that we can get them, just some new clients would be perfect. Yeah.
Seeing the momentum happen. And that's really interesting that you say that, because 40 odd years ago I was a travel agent, and domestic was very big in those days, and international was obviously very important to Australia. And then a whole array of things started to change, and it really didn't become viable for a lot of travel agents to sell domestic. And international really took over. Australians love to get on a plane and go overseas. And it made it really tough for a lot of operators to try to get into that wholesale distribution from a domestic level, because we weren't necessarily seen as being in a position to provide the income that they were looking for. So it's very interesting that they've finally turned around and are actually being proactive to go, we have no product, because the vast majority of it was international. That's all been taken away from them. So they're looking for experiences. And I love the fact that they're not just looking for, they're obviously looking for quality experiences. You have said that you offer a luxury product as well as one that's a little bit more affordable. So, you know, there are clients out there that are prepared to spend money on an experience, not just a product and a service, but an experience. So just thinking how to repackage that is interesting.
We in the downtime, like you know, when we had those 2-3 months, we really worked on our product sheet, you know, our rates, so that when people when a new client comes, you know, to our door, we've got it all there for them. So they've got their product sheet straight away, their rate sheet, our Dropbox of all our images for them to use. We try and make it as easy as possible, you know, and provide itineraries, what to do, so that travel agent, you know, it takes a little bit of pressure off them, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible for them to sell our product to their clients. So
I love that. I loved how you talked about before in regard to other product around where you are, because very seldom does a person just come, though your property and possibly Lynn's is a little bit different in the respect they will come because the experience is there. But often to get there or to come home, they like to visit other things. So that itinerary development is really important for an educational process for those travel agents as well as the consumer. So yeah, no, well done for thinking in advance and being able to package with your community. Carley, how many staff did you have when all this happened? You actually had quite a lot of staff, didn't you?
Yeah, I ended up only laying off 2 chefs.
Wow.
And 6 waiters.
Out of how many are we talking?
Well, I've only kept 5 waiters,
Okay.
and 5 chefs actually. So yeah, we kept it pretty tight. And then, you know, once it sort of started to, you know, this whole COVID situation came about, a lot of my staff are backpackers. So they started to get a little bit scared and were going home before it got worse as well. So instead of us having to say, all right, we don't actually have any work for you, they were coming to me to say, we want to get home before we can't get home. So that was also something that I found.
There was a bit of natural attrition actually.
Yeah, yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Just on what Tanya was saying before about the rates, I too spent my downtime, you know, getting those rates ready, because we were meant to attend ATE, which obviously got cancelled as well, which is the time when we would distribute our rates to the market. And I sent it out and I got so many responses asking for post-COVID special rates and special rates to continue. And I don't think we can do that. I think we need to stay at the, you know, the level that we always stay at, because they're going to come anyway. And I don't think everyone should make a huge discount to try and get business when, like Tanya said, they're coming anyway. So I think that's important.
Can you explain to people how a restaurant packages for something like a massive trade wholesale product like ATE, Australian Tourism Exchange? How does a restaurant do that for people that don't know?
So we've got like a menu kit with various different menus, from say $40 per person to $180 per person, from, you know, plated dinners to banquets, which you can't do anymore because that's a new rule. Can't share. So a lot of different menus that we would distribute to the market. So for us in Cairns, my biggest market is the Japan market. So right now my focus is to try and get them back, but how we do that, you know, I don't know. We're just praying that they're going to come back to us, because the Chinese New Year period was obviously very quiet for us this year. But that's only a very small market for us. So really our huge market for us is the Japan market, which generally gets us through that wet season quiet time, which is of a high concern to us to try and get through. But we distribute our rates. We used to have a marketing company do all our rates for us, so they would distribute it to everybody, and we would attend ATE with them. And then last year or the year before, we decided to do it ourselves because we felt it was a more personal approach to, you know, have the business owner represent the business, which we found to be very beneficial in the first 12 months. So that just added to my role a little bit more in all my spare time. And now distributing it ourselves. So I sent a huge mail out to all our database with our rates.
Oops. Looks like we've just lost a little bit of connection.
A lot of patients come back and say they want.
Carley,
can you hear me now?
Yes, I think. Whoops, I think it's going to just go in and out for a moment. So I'll come back to you because I want to have a chat to you or everybody before we leave about the Good to Go campaign from Tourism Events Queensland and the COVID stamp, the Good to Go stamp that people are talking about. I don't know if everybody's aware of it, so we'll just make mention to that. But before we do a roundup, Lynn, so how do you see the opening up of Queensland affecting you? Is there any major barrier with the border not opening up? Was it predominantly Queenslanders that you had, or did you have quite a bit of interstate and international?
We had a lot of locals didn't know us at all, so that's a bonus for us.
Right.
We had a lot of international people, and we were on the itinerary of Top Deck bus tours.
Excellent.
So the internationals were coming, and were very popular with the Australian family, the international families with that. We also had some essential workers, some corporates that came through. So the interest rate, I don't think is going to affect us as much. I think the opportunity for us is just to have the locals know that a business has been going for 27 years underneath their noses, and we just quietly plugged away. If they found us, they found us. They had a wonderful time. If they didn't find us, man, have they been missing out. So for us, we're just plugging along and ticking the boxes and just surprising the hell out of everybody at the moment.
It's so nice to hear, and I think it's an opportunity for all of us. We take for granted our local community. We take for granted all the different places that we have within, a 30, 40, 50 kilometre. When we choose to go on holidays, we tend to go the longer distances because it's something different. But we have so many gems in our own backyard. And it's wonderful to hear, Lynn, that people are finding you as one of those gems. Tanya made mention that all of a sudden, people that were having things like anniversaries and special occasion birthdays, etc. Have you found that local community are reaching out to you to come and maybe bring the kids to celebrate birthdays or something?
Well, that's the little market we did have. They were finding us for those little local events. But it was more the holiday makers that we weren't getting, the weekend escapers, the couples that we weren't getting as much as I think we'll get now.
So your property,
and I guess the travel agents, we also have been getting contacted by travel agents that have never taken interest in us before either. So that's new.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, no, it'll be very interesting to see how, from a distribution point of view, a wholesale point of view, to get Queensland back onto selling, Queensland and New South Wales, the rest of Australia, selling domestic product and getting it up there as quickly as possible. Because if that doesn't happen quickly, a lot of the consumers, as they already are going direct to a lot of operators, and they're getting used to going direct to a lot of operators. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of negative media, which I think from my personal point of view has been very unfair on the poor travel agents. They provide a service, but they're very much the middleman, so they take the inquiry, they do the booking, they do the work, they receive the money, but the money literally disappears straight away. So when something's gone wrong, everybody's blaming the travel agent, whereby it just happens to have been what the distribution system has been. So I mentioned before that Tourism Events Queensland, literally, I think it's only been in the last couple of days, have just announced their Good to Go campaign. So that will be a multimedia, mainstream media, television, print, radio. There will be also a lot of social media, but they've also introduced the Good to Go emblem, which is a tool for operators to utilize as part of their business, that they have a COVID safe plan. So is everybody aware of that and downloaded all that information? So Lynn, just for your reference, if you go on to, I'll send a link out to everybody anyway, just in case they haven't got it. But it's a way, because one of the things that the consumers have said is that they want to get out there, but they want to know that the people that they're going to are going to abide by all the rules, etc. So this is just letting the consumer know we're good to go, we've got a plan in place, and please come and visit us. You will be as safe as we can possibly make you. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. So before we do go, is there anyone that, if we haven't touched base on it already, had an innovation or did something they were particularly proud about during this time of COVID? How they've changed, any particular lessons that they've learnt? Kath, is there any lessons that you've learnt from this?
Yeah, we weren't online prior to this, and we've done something that we've called the booze box, which is kind of our signature cocktails in a take-home form with, you know, some cheese and crackers. You know, instead of a Friday night out, it's a Friday night in. So, and it was an online ordering system, and we hadn't previously tapped into that. It wasn't part of our business arm, but it's going to continue to be post COVID. So yeah, it was good to kind of, you know, like I said before, we thought we had lots of baskets and lots of eggs separated, but we didn't have an online egg, so we're going to have that going forward, which is great.
That's a great innovation. I mean, people were wanting to, you know, if you can get the alcohol, your signature dish, plus some lovely of your produce together, and just makes it easy for people. That's a great idea. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Taylor, from a packaging point of view, was there anything that you did differently?
Not so much from a packaging point of view, but I think what we will be looking to do differently moving forward once we are open is kind of similar sentiment to what some of the other ladies were saying, but really focusing on local. So prior to this, we've been kind of focused on the 4-hour drive radius, because Bundy is a great kind of drive destination. It's largely everyone drives to Bundy. So what we're going to do, I think, moving forward is really how we can kind of nurture our local loyal ambassadors to then use them as a tool to bring visitors through the door, which we've always done in a sense, but it probably hasn't been the focus over the last few years. We've been focusing on a slightly larger radius. So I think that will really help how we kind of set our marketing plans up for the next kind of 3 to 6 months. We've got a local loyalty program, which I know we want to put a lot more effort in when we can open, and particularly because a lot of the research is kind of saying that visiting friends and relatives market is going to be kind of a key domestic travel driver, especially while the borders are still closed. So we really want to make sure that we can leverage that, and rather than trying to spend big marketing dollars trying to bring people into the region, try to get visitation from people that are already in region and really use that to our advantage. So I think that will definitely be an area of focus for us. And I think one of the big things we've learned from this is just how important it is to have different revenue streams. And so we obviously had tours which were closed, so we were able to kind of keep retail as a revenue stream, have an online revenue stream, and that has really helped us, you know, kind of keep things going and have a relatively optimistic look into the future.
Two key things. One, the VFR, the Visiting Friends and Relatives market, it's quite true. I mean, it represents 40-50% for a lot of regional communities, that people will take the time to come and visit a relative. I know, and I've been saying this for the last few weeks, I'm very keen to get into the car and drive up to Cairns and see my relatives. And I'll be doing a lot of stopping off with clients and various attractions along the way. But the primary purpose is to visit, you know, friends and family. Carley, any final kind of comments that you wanted to make whether it be around innovation or things that you've now done that you believe that you'll continue on in the future, even though it wasn't part of what the old Ochre particular model was?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to do home deliveries. You know, getting my to put a very lovely plated dish into a cardboard box was hard to start off with, but we got there, and that's definitely what we're going to continue with because that demand is there. Something we didn't think. We thought, you know, people think of Ochre as a fine dining restaurant, it's a special occasion restaurant. So we're very much into that market, but now that they can have that quality food in their house, it's that demand is there. So we'll continue to do that.
I think people are starting to appreciate how precious life is, and that special occasion probably needs to happen a little bit more than just the special occasion. You know, having the family.
So many photos of people taking our food from the cardboard box onto a nice plate and plating it, and their beautiful wine photos.
Lovely.
So recreating the restaurant in their own house, which was really good to see.
Wow, that's really special. Fantastic. Yeah. So Lynn, is there any other final comment that you would like to make about moving forward as we start to open up?
Well, I guess for us, being a farm stay and originally working with mostly internationals, now we're using our regional tourism body more. Excellent. So the Capricorn and the GAPDL, and learning more from them than we have asked for help before. The other thing is trying to partner with some of the other operators in the area, which we sort of always thought, it would be good if we did, but who has the time when you're already busy? But then we sort of have a lot more in common than we realise. And I guess something that over all these years, it's 27 years now since the farm stay accident happened, and the people still wanting the similar product for us. And the 2 nights is the one that no matter how the history goes and what changes are going to happen, it seems to be the same thing. And the resilience that we have. The resilience that we have and the fact that we're all diverse is going to, you know, it's all going to work out in the end. And the fact that nobody I love or know has been sick.
Yes. And
aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky that, you know, we've come out of it, or coming through it as well as we can, and we should be very proud of that, for all of us.
Proud and very grateful. I think we all need to go back to some of those basic values. You know, we're going back to family, we're being appreciative of time being spent together. So I love that, Lynn. Thank you. And Tanya, any final comment in regard to moving forward into possibly post-COVID?
Just what I've noticed since there's a lot of free online courses on sales courses and stuff like that we've noticed that we've been plugging into and doing some tutorials and stuff like that we've never even knew were out there, that the Queensland government put up and stuff like that. So that was that's been good. You know, going probably just relearning stuff, and the other thing that you mentioned on grateful. We're just so grateful that people want to come out into our region, and just thank them for coming. Like the other day, last Wednesday morning, I saw our first caravan. Normally this time of year, Longreach is full of caravans. And I saw my first one at 8:30 on Wednesday morning, and I actually was following it, and then I realised what I'd seen, and so I just followed it to the service station and got out and said, thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for coming you're the first caravan I've seen all year. Thank you so much for coming. You know, we just want them. We want to, you know, they do so much. Like the people in the caravan, that, you know, I get no income from that, but the town does. And that's, you know, if we all work together, support each other, it's just, you know, I'm just so grateful that we live where we do, and, you know, we can all help each other. Yeah, that's what I've kind of got out of it.
No, that's lovely. Thank you. And very similar to what Lynn just said, you know, talking about partnerships and collaboration is what tourism has always been about, and it's what's got us through every one of, you know, the critical points, defining points throughout the years, whether it's been SARS or whether it's been natural disasters or whatever else. It literally is, we are a resilient industry, and there's a lot of knowledge out there, and asking people, as Linda said before too, you know, asking your regional tourism association for help, or reaching out. And Tanya, just as a mention, I'm obviously a business coach, been working with the tourism industry for a long time. And as part of this program, I will be putting out an online course, which will be free to all the participants. So it'll be an opportunity for you guys just to take a step back. It will be, and to think about what is my business now, and what is the vision that I would like for my new business moving forward? What is my brand? Does my brand actually fit with my new business, you know, moving forward? What are some of the key areas that I'm doing that I've only just done because of COVID that won't fit in? But what am I doing now that because of COVID, I want to continue? So it'll help with a thought process, just a bit of a checklist. So that will be out in the next month or so, and I will be distributing it to all of the participants as a thank you for coming on the panel. So stay tuned for that. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to just pass over to Bindi, and Bindi might like to just do a quick wrap up of some of the thoughts around the gems and the comments that were made today.
Well, you know, there's themes every week here, but one of the big things you're all doing, whether you realize it or not, is you're doing something I've penned the pandemic pivot. So you're making the most of your venue, your resources, and you're repurposing where you can, which is amazing. There's also a digital shift, which we're seeing as a trend in e-commerce. Love it. Drive market, again, is a big thing we need to maximise on. So exploring our state, different holidays domestically in the absence of that international travel is what's going to be coming your way. Also, collaboration is the mother of invention. So shifting operations like Carley's done to reduce costs, multi-skilling so that you can keep things running is also important. But also you're looking at that vision beyond COVID, and you know that discounting is not a way of the future. And you're also looking at what kind of distribution channels you're going to keep moving forward, like whether it's deliveries or drive-throughs or whatever it might be. I think people want to keep these things in their lives beyond COVID because they've made them easier. And also social media, leveraging those platforms as people are online more than they ever have been before. So there's a really big market there that you can shift online to sales.
Beautiful summary. Thank you very much, Bindi. I really appreciate it. So before I go, I just wanted to make mention that this particular series, the Advancing Women in Tourism series, was only made possible through the Queensland Government's Advancing Women in Business initiative. So I want to thank the Queensland Government for their part in this. I'd also like to thank Tourism Events Queensland and QTIC and our regional tourism authorities. In particular today, I'd like to thank Kath from Miami Marketta on the Gold Coast, Taylor Reynolds from Bundaberg Rum, Tanya from Saltbush, Carley from Cairns, the Ochre restaurant, and Lynn from Myella, Myella Farm Stay. Thank you, ladies. And I'd also like to just let everybody know next week, Tuesday, the 16th of June, same time, 12 noon, we're going to have Naomi McKinnon from the Fat Frog Cafe in the Whitsundays. We're going to have Kath from the Blue Pacific Resort in Mackay, Jane from Fraser Dingo Four-Wheel Drive Adventures from the Fraser Coast. We're going to have Jade representing Goondiwindi Cotton from Southern Queensland Country, Kate from Sea Link Queensland, which is the operation from Townsville over through to Magnetic Island based in Townsville. And we're going to have Jamie Lee from Delectable Food Tours in Brisbane. So again, another range of inspiring women, and I thank them for coming on board, but particularly to the panel today, all the very best. Really appreciate your time. I love your enthusiasm. I love your passion for the industry, and I wish you all the best as we journey through this COVID situation. So bye, ladies. All the very best. See you later.
Thanks for having us.
Bye. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.